Alright guys, welcome to the lesson where I'm going to be teaching you guys how to study click-through rate on your YouTube Studio dashboard. Now pretty much this video is going to be giving you guys an advanced breakdown on everything you need to know on just kind of studying and what I look at when it comes down to studying my videos, of their performance and what I could improve on in the future videos. Now on the screen I'm going to show you guys just how to get to the different elements and different things that I'm on right now, because some of you guys may be confused on how to actually get to this website and this page. So go ahead and follow the things on the screen to go ahead and get to it. But after that, let's go ahead and hop into actually getting started. So the first thing you do is you go ahead and select the video you want to study by going to the analytics icon. Once you're there guys, it'll look something like this. And so in this video we're going to be focusing on click-through rate. In the next video we're going to be doing like retention so you guys can understand it better. But what I'm going to go ahead and do is show you guys this as an example. So what you're going to do is go from overview to reach. So click on reach. This is how you get to your click-through rate. And so what you're going to do now is you're going to go ahead and you're going to see a lot of different data. And I'm going to break through all the data in just 1 second. But what I want you guys to do is make sure that whenever you select this, what I always recommend people to go ahead and do is go to where it says over here, since published, and you want to go ahead and select a different date. Now it could vary depending on when you upload your video. I usually like to do about last 28 days because it gives me not too big or broad of a range of data, but not too small. Now, however, here's the thing. If you upload the video very recently, then obviously you guys can see I've uploaded the video like literally February 4th. So in that case, you can just do last 7 days. It just narrows it down so you can easily look at it better. So here's an example of what all this is. I'll break it down for you. So the first thing they're going to show you on click-through rate is impressions. So pretty much impressions is whenever people see you on the homepage, they see your video and your thumbnail, and they have the option to click on it or not. That's pretty much an impression, people who saw that. And so it tells you how many people saw it and how many people had the opportunity to click it but didn't or did. And so the impressions click-through rate is how many people of those impressions actually clicked on the video. So you guys can see that we got a 2.8% click-through rate. So 2.8% of the 5.4K clicked on the video, and obviously that equates to about 466 views. And so pretty much this is the situation. I'm showing you guys this right here is a example of a bad click-through rate. Okay, 2.8% is not a good click-through rate. You typically don't want that low of a click-through rate. The goal is to get higher than that. And in this video, I'll show you good and bad examples so you can kind of understand a good idea of what you want to focus on. But this isn't really good. This video isn't really going anywhere, to be honest. And so it may go somewhere in the future. I don't know. Sometimes I'll see videos like this that get bad click-through rate, and you can select that. It gets bad click-through rate like this, but I'm not giving it enough days. Like, it's only been out for about 2 days. So you never know. This video could actually blow up in the next 2 weeks. But at least with the data that I have right now, I know for a fact, at least right now, it's not a good click-through rate. It could change. And so to just simplify it, what I usually do, my thought process is I'll probably wait about 4 to 5 days before I review a video analytics, just because it gives me enough time to see the data that comes in with YouTube. I honestly do not recommend judging your video until then, but to make it easier on you guys, because it's easier for me to find this video to show you like what a bad CTR is. So pretty much what I want you guys to realize is 2.8% is typically not a good CTR. It's usually not a good CTR. Usually the goal is to always try to get it like the higher CTR, obviously the better. That's usually the goal. And so the impressions right here, you guys can see this is the example I'm going to give you guys. When you click on impressions, this gives you a better idea of what's actually happening. So usually what I pay attention to is if the impressions are falling. If they're constantly falling and they're never going back up, and I'll show you another example so you can better see it, but if the impressions are constantly falling like this, that's not a good sign. You want it to be going, there's going to be ups and there's going to be highs and lows. So don't worry if it's going down one day, but then the next day it goes right up. That's totally fine. But if it's constantly going down, that's a bad thing. I'm going to give you this as an example so you guys can better understand what I'm talking about. So this is another video that is bad CTR. You guys can see right here, the impressions was good for the first 2 days, and then boom, it just tanks. You see how bad these impressions are? And so this is what I'm saying. If something like this happens, it's a dead video, right? The CTR, it's just not good enough. And look, the CTR is so bad that it dropped all the way down to 1.1%. That is not a good percentage. That is really, really bad. And so you guys can tell, this kind of tells me right here, the CTR is bad. Now, here's the question. The question always comes down to, well, is it my click-through rate or is it my audience retention? Which one is the problem, or is it both? Which one is the issue that's holding my video back from going viral? So if you guys want to double check this, and obviously we'll have the studying your audience retention video so you guys can better get more deep into that. But let me show you an example. If we go to overview right here and scroll down, we can actually see the audience retention. The audience retention is not that bad. It's 45%. And because it's 45%, audience retention, that's pretty decent. That's a decent amount of audience retention. So that's not the problem. My audience retention, how entertaining my video is not the problem. The problem is the click-through rate is what killed my video. It was not the audience retention. The click-through rate completely killed it. And so if you didn't watch my previous video where I broke down what click-through rate is, make sure you do. But pretty much click-through rate, this could mean many different things. It could mean that your thumbnail just was not appealing to other people. That could be the thing. Or it could mean your title wasn't appealing to people, or it could be both the thumbnail and title. And on top of the title usually could be the video idea as well. The title is kind of the video idea, right? So your overall video idea could probably suck, right? That's probably the issue, right? I almost think my overall video idea might have sucked, but here's why I think. This is my conclusion. This is kind of my thought process. I'm kind of just going raw with you guys and breaking down my thought process. So I'm just wording it to you. So sorry if it's all over the place, but this is my thought process. My thought process when I see this right here is that the first question I asked myself is, okay, is this the video idea? Was the video idea bad, right? Well, the way you can kind of figure that out is if you go to overview and you look at your audience retention, if the audience retention is pretty good, like it's above 40% audience retention on like a 10-minute video or somewhere around that range, most likely my video idea was probably decent. It was probably good. The issue was my thumbnail probably sucked. That's probably what the issue was. My thumbnail probably sucked because if you guys look, that's probably the issue. The click-through rate sucks. And so that kind of allows me to narrow it down in this situation. Because my audience retention was not bad, that probably means that my video idea is good, right? The video idea is decent. It probably means my thumbnail and title, the way I worded things, or the way definitely the visuals of the graphic thumbnail is probably bad. And so if we go back to this video right here, I thought this video was going to pick up in views. Now here's the thing. I may stand corrected, guys. Like I said, this gives you guys a good example. There's only 2 days worth of data on this video. There's not enough data on this video to know if it's a good video or not. And so I'm going to show you guys a good click-through rate that I thought at first was a dead video. And I'll show you what I mean by how it can blow up within a week. Like it may be where a week you think it's dead when it's not. Okay, so here's an example of a video I thought was dead for the longest time, but it actually wasn't. If you go over to the reach to get to the click-through rate, look at this, guys. So if I go ahead and select, last 28 days, last 28 days, look at this, guys. You see how over here when I first uploaded the video, guys, my impressions weren't that great. It wasn't amazing, but then all of a sudden it slowly started to gain a little bit of momentum, and then boom, it spikes up in impressions. YouTube was like, oh crap, people are actually enjoying this video, so let's send it to a bunch of people. And so if you go to the impressions click-through rate to see like what my percentage is, look at this, guys, 10% maybe, maybe 8%, but the average is about 8.9% since I uploaded the video pretty much. And so this is really good, right? Like around this number, around 7%, 8%, that's pretty good. And then anything above that is really good. And so this is pretty much what's happening. You guys can tell this is a good click-through rate right here. This is just good. It's gold. You think that it was dead. I honestly thought it was a dead video, but it actually was good long term. And so this is why I'm saying I usually give it anywhere from 4 days to a week or so. Sometimes I might push it to 2 weeks before I look at the data of the video and try to improve the data of the video for future videos, right? I usually like to give it enough time for YouTube to pick it up in the algorithm before I judge the video if I did good or not, because who knows, it could pick up really later on. And so this is what you could be. This is a good example of a good video, right? This is what you want to look for. The other thing I look at is down here. you can see this little funnel here. I usually try to make sure my percentage, it says 99.5% from YouTube recommending your content. I usually try to make sure this percentage is above 94, 95%, at least above that much, because usually if it's above that percentage, I see pretty good success. And so you want to make sure that percentage is pretty high as well, and that will benefit you a lot. But if you guys look at that, CTR is good. If we actually go to overview to see audience retention, look, my audience retention is really good as well. And right now on this video, I am getting pretty good views. I'm getting 31,000 views in the last 48 hours. And so because my audience retention is really good and my CTR is really good, YouTube is going to push the video. And so this video, if you guys don't know what the video is, like if you guys are trying to figure out, okay, what did I do correctly, right? Like I showed you what I did wrong, like what I did wrong on the click-through rate on the previous videos. Now let me show you guys what I did correctly. What I did correctly on this video, I think, is that, so this video is called Odd NBA Rules You Didn't Know Existed. And then the thumbnail is an NBA player with a circle on his armpit and an arrow pointing to his armpit. And so obviously if you're somebody that follows the National Basketball Association, you know that seeing this thumbnail is odd. Like in your head, you're thinking, wait, does the NBA, the basketball league, do they have like some type of rule against like, you know, shaving your armpit or something? Like that makes you question that. You're forcing the viewer, when they see your thumbnail title, you're forcing the viewer to ask questions and want to know more. And because they want to know more and they're asking questions, they'll click on the video and watch the video. And assuming the video is a good video, they'll continue to watch and YouTube will promote you because of that. And so I usually take note of that. I'm like, okay, good. I did it correctly. I made the person ask a question. So this was a good video. I did a good job. Another example of probably a good CTR is this video called Times Luka Doncic got into a heated beef with other NBA players. So pretty much this is about an NBA player. And what I did is I got a tweet and I photoshopped it a little bit, kind of pushing it to the edge. This was one of those videos that was a little bit misleading, not 100%, but just a little bit misleading, just to get like people's attention, almost a little bit controversial in a way. But pretty much the thumbnail, you guys can see it's like, oh, you'll regret this, Trae Young, whatever. Trae Young's another NBA player. And so and then it's him like right there, you know, mad, right? This grabs people's attention. When you go to the reach to see the CTR, I mean, it's only been out for like 2 days. You guys can see the CTR is big. That's 15% CTR. That is really, really good. And so I might be onto something. Now, assuming I can keep my audience retention above 40%. It's just barely under, or it's just barely above 40%. So hopefully it doesn't go under, but honestly it might. So as long as I can keep it above 40%, I think it can go somewhere. You guys can see right here, if you guys are trying to study what this is right here, this graph. So this gray area right here is what my previous videos, my normal typical videos perform, right? That's what this graph is, my typical views, my typical videos. This right here is pretty much, you know, you can see the line is this actual video. It's surpassing my typical performance. But yeah, so that's pretty much what you guys can understand. This is a pretty good CTR. Now the question again is, okay, why did this video get such a good high CTR? Now this is where a lot of it comes into play when it comes down to a pro tip, right? So pay attention, take notes. Right here is where you guys want to take notes. Most people who view the YouTube platform do not view the YouTube platform on a white background. You see here, all of this is white. A lot of people don't do that. Most people actually who have a YouTube account, those people who have a YouTube account don't view YouTube on the white platform. What they do is they go to this icon right here, this icon, and then they see dark theme and they turn dark theme on. And look, all of a sudden, the thumbnails that didn't pop as well as they did immediately starts to pop. You guys can see right here, this video that got a lot of the attention, a lot of high CTR. The reason why I got high CTR is because obviously, it's kind of controversial, like I said, but not only that, look, you see this white right here? You see the white? Okay, so this white, the Twitter white, that would blend in on a white platform. But people who typically, most people actually use the black theme background on YouTube. And because of that, this white pops out more than any other thumbnail. And so that grabs people's attention, and that's why this is performing. And so my tip to you guys is to try to aim and focus on making your thumbnails kind of bright, not super bright, you don't want to overdo it, but kind of bright so that it pops on a black theme. I usually like to look at both the white theme and the black theme, and I try to find a good balance between the two of them, but I always usually try to lean more to the black theme and trying to find a good thumbnail that works for that, that viewing platform. Okay, so that's pretty much what you guys need to know when it comes down to the CTR at the end of the day. There's a bunch of other little things I can briefly show you guys over here, but this right here, you guys are probably wondering what the traffic sources and everything is. So traffic sources will be broken down in another video on this course, so make sure you check that out because you do need to understand a little bit more about traffic sources because there is stuff to that. So I'll break it down in the other video, but this is pretty much CTR. This is how CTR works. This hopefully gave you a good idea of what a good CTR is and a bad CTR, and gave you a good idea of what to look at on how to improve future thumbnails.